They do that all the time. It's like targeting or something. I have a new laptop. I should have used my new laptop, but I didn't. I don't know. Are we live? Yeah, guys, welcome
we're live.
back to. Oh, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I'm really excited about my guests today. I always say this when I have them on. I got to meet these two guys in person, and they're cool as hell. I mean, they're just like you see on camera, but like even better in person. And you know what? Also, like their stories are legit as fuck, like to the core. Like, you know, like when you meet them in person, you realize that right away that like they live this life, you know. And who I'm talking about is Arkheim Ra and Drago Reed. I wrote a little thing about it. I wrote, tonight on the Typical Skeptic Podcast, Rob welcomes Arkheim Ra and Drago Reed for a deep dive into one of the most disturbing yet least understood aspects of covert programs, alter creation, hypnotic splitting, and weaponized consciousness. To frame tonight's discussion, consider the chilling quote from George Estabrooks, one of U.S. military hypnosis researchers. We know that dual, even multiple personality can be both caused and cured by hypnotism. The key is creating an effective spy or assassin rather than splitting a man's personality. This is not science fiction. I have done it. And then a little bit more about my guest. Arkheim Ra is a secret space experiencer, researcher, and author whose work focuses on advanced black ops programs, consciousness manipulation, time travel technologies, MK Ultra, Montauk, and trauma-based compartmentalization. He's the author of Time and Space Unlimited, a book that explores nonlinear time, off-world operations, cloning, memory alteration, and the use of human consciousness within covert military and intelligence projects. And Drago Reed is a consciousness researcher, experiencer, polymath, investigator, and QHHT practitioner whose work focuses on dissociation, altered states, psychological warfare, secret space programs, black ops, targeting, and the long-term effects of trauma-based programming. His research explores how identity fragmentation, hypnosis, and behavioral conditioning have been used historically and covertly by intelligence and military operations. And you can follow these guys. I put their links at the top of the page. Arkheim is on at Disclosure Known, KNOWN, Disclosure Known on YouTube. And then you can join his Patreon. It's Arkheim Ra. And then you can follow Drago. He has a website. It's fractaloflight.com. And then Drago is also on Rumble. It's Portal to Another Dimension on Rumble. And I put those links in the description. And with all that said, I'd like to give them both a big warm welcome back to the show. Arkheim, Drago, thanks so much for coming on, guys. How is everybody?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm always awesome, man. Like that was a great bio. I was contemplating. It's just like when you talk it, it's just like, dang, it really puts your life into perspective and lets me realize that like this is my full-time life of like helping assets and doing hypnosis on them and recovering these memories and activating all like integrating alters. Like I had the pleasure of doing that for Arkheim. He came down to the Full Disclosure Now conference. He stayed at my house that entire week, and we ended up doing sessions on him and his wife Kat, and we did a lot of amazing stuff, man. And Chakra is such a powerful being that came through. We're going to be releasing that, man. It's next level if you watch this video recording, man.
And I wanted to say at one point, guys, if you guys want to do this, we can take live calls too at the end. If you want me to, I can fire it up and we can take live calls. But
yeah. Taking after the old coast to coast midnight or coast to coast AM. Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I've never done a live call, so that sounds kind of legit.
One of the things I wanted to get into right away with that quote that you said, which is by George Estabrooks, which talks about creating alters and Manchurian programming through trauma-based mind control programming. He was the guy who was working with the CIA when they were doing MK Ultra, and he basically, I mean, if you think about it from my perspective, I have DID and I'm really messed up because of MK Ultra programming, and this guy's got books about it, and he admits to being the person who invented it. And one of his books is, you can't even find it. His craziest book you can't find. You can't even find it anywhere online. He's got a book that's really hard to find. But even the ones that you can find that are just like talking about hypnotism and alter creation, I mean, basically says it. And one of the things that he talks about is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And this opened up a lot for me, and actually explained a lot between the difference between me and Penny, who just said, hi, guys. Basically, Her generation, I don't think, had this yet, where there's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde programming. So essentially, I'm going to explain why I call myself Arkheim Ra. I was born with the name Jeffrey Wood, but I go by Arkheim Ra when I discovered that I was fragmented and had different personalities. I mean, that wasn't why I claimed the name, but I knew that was what was going on subconsciously, and I realize now that that's the name of the system. That's the name of all of us. That's the name that I would have if I were whole. But Jeffrey is essentially an alter, and then the other side of Jeffrey is Jacob, and that would be Jeffrey would be Mr. Hyde, and then it's Doctor. I can't remember which one's the evil one. Basically, the evil one is Jacob, and then the nice one is Jeffrey, and Jacob is the one that handles the trauma and all the dark things that Jeffrey can't. And then what I also discovered is there's varying degrees of this, because get this, Jacob has a darker alter named Marcus. And then Jacob would be the light alter than the more positive version of Marcus, because Marcus is even darker and even more fucked up than Jacob. And I'm not sure how far that goes. I hope it doesn't go any further than that. But basically, that's, I think, one of the reasons why I've talked, in private and on shows with Penny and people from more of her generation of super soldiers, where they don't have this bleed through where the alters can talk to each other, and it's confusing to them. Like, how are you able to actually literally talk to your alters? I literally have conversations with them, and I figured out it's because of that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing broke down. And it's because it's the reason why it's really easy for me to talk to Jacob and maybe all of my alters. I mean, but especially Jacob. The reason why they broke through is because the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing created a sinkhole, an alter sinkhole in my brain, where like alters can fall through this sinkhole that is this program that meant to be a refining program that strengthened their grip on me, but ended up being a redeeming force that ended up helping me free myself from the grips of their programming. This Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, because the wall was just too thin. And not only that, I had a conversation. So, not to just take the floor of the whole interview, but I think this is important to say. Like, these alters are real. I'm not just making this up. I'm diagnosed. I see a counselor, okay, and it affects me in my day-to-day normal life. And it isn't all just time missions and far off things. I had an experience recently where I had something kind of demonic happen to me. I don't really want to go into it, but I was really freaked out by it. So I went to church. I went to a Catholic mass, and it was a really interesting experience. There was a gentleman there that kind of helped me through the mass because I hadn't been there so long, he could tell. And at the end of it, he invited me for coffee and cinnamon rolls and stuff like that. And he's like, "So what brought you back here?" I'm like, "This is my first time here. I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You've been here like, I think 3 or 4 times now. You always sit in the same spot." And I was like, "This is my first time here, dude." And he's like, "Dude, we're all like twice your age. Everybody here is like 60, 70. And you look like you, the way you're like, there's no way it was someone else. It was you. What's going on with you, man? Are you okay? Something going on?" And I literally was just like, "I gotta go." He's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I literally just told him I have DID. My alter came here. One of my alters went to church. So this stuff affects us in our day-to-day life. It's real. I'm diagnosed with it. I have a therapist. My therapist, it's on a chart. Same thing with Penny Bradley. She's diagnosed with it. It's on her therapist's chart. And another thing that happened recently, which I'm pretty sure Kat would be perfectly fine with me talking about, is about a week ago at 4:00 in the morning, Kat ordered a dress for herself, and she never ordered this dress, and she doesn't remember it. And what's really interesting about it is we moved, and so she had to change it to the new address, knowing that it would arrive at the new address, and that we'd be here, and just all this weird stuff. And she doesn't remember ordering the dress, but she did order the dress. And so there's just all these things happening where we really do have these altars, and there really are these things going on in our lives. Like, I recently had a conversation with a friend that I grew up with, my buddy, and I was telling him about this whole church thing, and I literally called him because he's a practicing Catholic, and I just told him about how my altars have been going to church and all this stuff. And he was just like, Dude, I never wanted to tell you this because I didn't want to freak you out, but when we were growing up, you would altar out all the time. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, like I remember times where we would be at parties and you would be like somebody else and I'd be like shaking you, like, bring my fucking friend back. I want my friend back. This is not them. Bring Jeff back. Like fucking shaking me. Like, and he told me there are numerous times where my altars would come up and try to fuck up my life and do crazy shit, and he'd rescue me from it. And I was just, that was overwhelming. So I've been having a lot of stuff happen to me in my life recently where it's like, dude, this is not. I talk about my altars going off and opening portals and going to other planets and things like that, and that's all very true. But what really has been grounding it for me is like imagine being in my shoes and going to church thinking like you'd never gone to church since you were a kid, since like you were literally in the single digits aged wise, right? That's how long it's been since you went to church. And then you go and they're like, oh, you've been here a few times. And then but it was your altar. Like, and you find out not only that, like this has been happening your whole life and people have been aware of it. And so like what other things have I done and stuff?
I got a question, Arkheim. What if one of your altars decides to do something like really evil? I'm not saying you would do that because I don't think you're that kind of person. But like, what do you? I mean, and then can you control that at all, or like, what do you think? I mean, I don't. Sorry. I didn't mean to say. I don't think you would do anything evil. I didn't mean to say that. I don't.
Well,
you know I mean?
I asked myself that question because I do have these really evil altars, and you know, all I can say is I know that I do really evil things as my altars. That's the whole reason why I'm public. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm not doing this to tell stories about how I go out and save the universe. That's an aspect of what I do. That's the crazy part. I literally do go out and save the fucking world sometimes, and it's nuts. But I've caused, I feel like, more damage than good. And I have altars that are very, very evil. There's a show that I did with Daniel Sala, and also I did basically the same show with Aquarius Rising Africa, where I talk about this Japanese snuff film ring that I was working with. Like, these are fucked up things that nobody would ever want to admit to being a part of, and it's because it's real.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say, yes, I do have altars that do evil things. Now, have they done evil things in my actual life where people around me have been affected by them? I question that. I in my recent years, I think I have more control of it because my altars know that I'm onto them and I know they exist, so they can't just do stuff. Kat has experienced things where I've been pretty mean to her when I've been altered out, but never literally abusive. But yeah, no, it causes problems. Penny has told me stories of her partner Lou, her coming out of it and him being like, "I want to fucking smack you," like because she was being really mean to Lou. So yes, these things are all things that heavily affect our lives and impact our lives. And frankly, like one of the things that I've been dealing with that's really hard for me is the fact that like I've known Kat has altars. I've seen them come out. This one, Cynthia, comes out. She's rather pleasant. I don't mind her. But when she orders, like she's a stable one with like a stable job and stable income and stable life. And I'm the one that's like out here on the fringes. And like, I have this like huge fear of her like becoming like me, where like I went out to do something today. We have a storage unit we have to empty, so we're going to do it together. And then I literally started getting memories back on the drive there, and then we had to pull over, and we couldn't do it. Do you understand? That's what my life is like. Like this is real. Like I literally couldn't run errands yesterday, and I had to go home and just sit at home, like basically catatonic from memories that I got back. Like that's what my life is like. And the reason why you're important and your audience is important and everybody else is important is because the rubber is hitting the road now. All the internet is being like collected into, or all the information through the internet and researches and stuff like that is being collected into a little bag and put together and put on the table. That is the public consciousness of humanity. And, you know, it's like, for instance, like Sean Ryan just did an episode with some guy and he gets millions upon millions of views and stuff. And he's talking about DID altar programming and Manchurian candidates. I mean, it's there now. The rubber is meeting the road, and the public is understanding it. And the more we break through that, the more we get to what this whole show is kind of revolving around for me is Roses for Montauk. I've talked about Roses for Montauk. I've talked about a rose garden being built for Montauk to honor the thousands of dead children that died during the project. Children, and yes, not all children, but many children. And I want to reiterate too with this. Okay, Brian Minnick, who is someone that I've done a show with you on here with Rob. He did some work with the History Channel where he's like, yeah, it's said that there's this mass grave that should be over here, and they looked with the equipment that the History Channel had, and it's there. There's everything to suggest that there's a mass grave there. And I explained to Minnick how that doesn't even account for the fact that they switched from the grave to a furnace. And then once they got into connection with the Draco and started working with reptilians, they would feed the kids to the reptilians. There was a room where there was like a pile of bodies and a pile of clothes because they would take the clothes off the bodies before they would eat them. And they would eat them alive sometimes, depending on like punishments and things like that. But like the evidence is there. Brian Mink has also discovered that enough power for a small city, enough water for a small city was being used. All these things, like the government, the Air Force and the Navy's official statement says there's no underground infrastructure, but Brian Minnick has literal footage of him wandering around in the underground infrastructure. He has been to or at least knew someone. I think it was he'd literally been there, or no, he talked to somebody. I can't remember what it was. It was like one of the people who literally was basically. John Whitberg in his book talks about on the 5th lower level of Montauk, there's where the urinals were and the showers and things like this. So there's a shower room basically, and that blew Brian Minnick's mind because he researched his Montauk, and that's what he found in his research. So there's basically a shower barracks on a 5th level, like a giant shower room where everybody showered. So like it's all being verified factually. We're not just crazy people telling stories on the internet. I mean, the History Channel found a mass grave. Like,
you know what I heard today, Arkheim? I was eating dinner and like someone had the news on. Like this is on the regular Pittsburgh news. You know, I guess some kid. His dad said that he seemed like I overheard this on this was actually on the mainstream news. His dad said he seemed like he was possessed and he was drooling from the mouth. He unalived his mother and he tried to put a bullet in the back of his mom's head. And what I'm thinking is like, was he like a Manchurian candidate? Was he MK Ultra? You know what I mean? Like how many of these kids, like they don't have control over their altars and they alter out and they do
and then with their
like
phones
magic,
and their deep connection to their phones, they're more easily activated because these tones and these light patterns and shit like that activate altars. Your phone's like a remote control for these people. They can just activate you at any time. Just you're looking at it. You're already in the beta state they want you to be in, where you're hypnotizable, and then they flash some colors at you and phrases, words, tones, whatever it is that they figured out, and then that your altar will come out, and then instructions will be given to you, and you go do the thing, and then you come back, and you don't even know you did it because you're just sitting there. Oh wow! I can't believe I was scrolling on my phone for 3 hours. How often do you think this happens to people? It happens to people every day, and they're not just killing people; they're running drugs, they're sex trafficking themselves without knowing they're sex trafficking themselves. It's all sorts of crazy shit. And it's getting exposed. These people think they're so slick and that they can hide and that they can get away with these crimes. But it's like the public is catching up to them really fast.
And Drago, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't answer my phone. If I get a random phone number calling me, I never answer it under any circumstance. I'll wait for the voicemail, but I normally don't check it immediately, but I tentatively listen to it. The moment I am trained to, if I hear any kind of interference or any kind of tone starting, I will literally pull the phone away and end it. And that's the reality, man. Like, I'll only answer the phone if you're in my caller ID. And same thing with emails. I get a ton of emails and stuff, and I'm even cautious.
And I doubt, Drago, that you sit and mindlessly scroll like TikTok and get put into a hypnotizable state where you'll get altered out and activated. Like, you know better than to do that. But that's the way they're doing it now. It's not a phone call anymore.
It's true.
This is a
your
much
devices. They entrain your own devices to you. Like a lot of us have Neuralink implants, and when you use the smart TVs, the cell phones, even certain GPS devices you have in your car, it's designed to monitor and control assets.
And I even did a show with Bill Tysing, basically, who is an electrical engineering like expert, and we were going over these patents and it explains in some of these patents how they pick up your thoughts, read your thoughts, and put thoughts into your mind through these devices, these smart devices. So it's all, you know, real and provable. And like I said, the guy who invented alters literally wrote books about it. Like when I found that out, that pissed me off, but that's good because it's ammunition for me, whatever. But one of the things that I really wanted to get into, and the biggest thing I wanted to get into with this interview, is like specific aspects of the Montauk Project, what their goal was, what they were doing, and it has to do with the Knights of Templar and the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So this is some pretty heavy-duty stuff. Obviously, there are many religious people out there, and even if you aren't religious, it's just a touchy subject. But we're just going to go into the information as we know it, as we see it, as we remember it, and I'm gonna we'll start with, I guess, the fact that what was I want Drago to explain this, because I was explaining this one last night, the realizations that I was having, and he was like reiterating and kind of correcting me even on certain aspects of it. So, Drago, why don't you go into what actually was the crucifixion of Christ? Because that has been changed. It happened, but what did it mean? Why did it happen? And why was it so powerful?
Okay, that's a very controversial thing to get into because, again, the moment you start kind of telling somebody the story is a little bit different than what actually happened, it activates that cognitive dissonance automatically. And anybody here listening with religious programming, it'll automatically set off your religious programming and you're going to be repugnant to what I'm going to say. So there was a project that started being done around the world after the Farsight Institute took on the crucifixion of Christ. And when the results were released, it got the attention of a lot of remote viewers around the world. So they started actually remote viewing this as well. So what the Farsight Institute found out and what other major remote viewers confirmed was that basically Jesus was a little bit different than he was personified as. He wasn't just like this love and light guy. He was like a commander. He was trying to raise an army in a good way to help go against Enlil and the Anunnaki because they were controlling the entire planet. He was his entire inner circle. He was teaching about reincarnation and all kinds of stuff like that. And it wasn't until about 325 AD with the Council of Nicaea, they started removing this stuff. They started removing the Apocrypha books. In 750 AD, they made it illegal to believe in reincarnation because Yeshua's teachings were spreading so much that they couldn't control the narrative anymore. So they made it where it was illegal, where they would literally kill you they'll burn you like a witch. But basically they found out that Judas, his job was not to betray Jesus. They found out through the remote viewing that Judas's job was to find somebody to be put on the cross to be crucified in Yeshua's name. And the remote viewing showed that Yeshua was near when this happened, and Judas went to one of the big areas around there, and there was this one guy that wanted to be a Messiah. And Judas went to him and says, "Do you want to be the Messiah? This is your time." So basically, a guy was put in Jesus's place. Arkheim, this is what the remote viewings is showing. We didn't talk about this, so I understand this is all new to you, and I understand your feelings. I understand it. I see it. But what they found out was Jesus lived. He didn't actually die on the cross. He knew that somebody was going to be crucified in his name to replace him so he can publicly die, so he can escape to France. This is how he started his entire bloodline. And I know that's extremely controversial to hear, but Sean Ryan did an interview on this Hispanic woman. She's some major person, and he's like, "Did you remote view the crucifixion?" And the moment he asked her that, she literally just started freezing. She didn't say nothing. He's like, "Can you not answer that?" And she's like, "I can't." She felt so uncomfortable. So this is where the entire bloodline comes from. If we didn't have that actually happen, his bloodline couldn't have spread to the earth. This is what
I also want to reiterate something with that. I agree with all of that. I didn't know about the swap thing, but that makes sense. Because I'm trying to basically collect my memories. I have fragmented memories because what's weird is for a lot of this stuff I was there because of time travel stuff for Montauk.
Yeah, they sent us to that moment. to like.
But
specifically
essentially,
our
the
king.
message to mankind was, okay, so back in the day, and it's still going on, but these Canaanite gods, they required sacrifice. And the original message of the crucifixion was Christ, and I guess it was a swapped person, but still, regardless, this was originally the message. Was this God said, okay, sacrifice one of your people, and this meant one of their children or one of their wise men or whatever. And instead of doing that, Christ stepped forward and said, no, I'll just sacrifice myself as a fuck you to these gods who constantly require sacrifice, being like, I'd rather die than betray my fellow man. And that was the powerful message of Christ that resonated across the earth and lifted up the meek and the hopeless and the downtrodden and brought them up and everything like that. And it's been changed into, oh, we're all sinners, which sin is a thing, and we, that's a powerful message that we have to deal with. Is sin is a very real thing, but it turned into more of this like Christ died for God in some weird humiliation ritual or something like that, so we could all be sinners. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's not my interpretation of what happened at all. And I believe that is very much so an intentional perversion. And also, Drago, what you're saying about the fact that Christ had children, that is 100% true. He had a bloodline, and basically all of his children and stuff like that, and people that were close to him, were taken to be time soldiers. They wanted to make him a time soldier, and they wanted to use him. They wanted to use the actual Christ being as the Antichrist. That was one of the things that they wanted to do at Montauk. I can't remember why it didn't work, but it didn't work. They couldn't do it. They couldn't pull it off.
So wait, so he went with, I'm guessing, I mean, but I've heard other versions, similar versions of this too, like where people have like I guess Mary Magdelene was his wife, and then he had a daughter named Tamar and Sarah. I think that's what they say. His daughter's name, or maybe he had a son too. He had to have probably had a son, right? Like
I know he had at least a daughter. I think he might have had two, but like, yeah, he had children, and something that I'm just gonna say, I'm not really gonna get into it, but I am part of the Merovingian bloodline, which is something that I think has already been public information for a long time, because I mean, I've been explained to it by other whistleblowers that were a little bit more wise than me. But I'm understanding what that means more now. So basically, I'm of the bloodline of Christ, and they thought, what is that?
This is the mark of the bloodline. You have the M. If you have an M on your palm, you are directly part of the bloodline.
I have it too, I think.
You see the M in the center of the palm right there?
That's crazy.
That lets you know that
right
is
your
your energetic signature.
This right here?
If you turn your hand sideways, like thumb up, fingers to the side, you can literally see the M. You got to see it. You got to put some light on it so you can see it up close. Like, see my shadow here? So you can clearly see the M.
Yeah.
But that's a universal marker, and that's in our signature. When we enter the lotus field, which basically is the matrix, we're identified as this kind of genealogy in the bloodlines we're going to be incarnating in, and it shows in our fingerprints. Our fingerprints, too, that's why no other humans has another matching fingerprint, because this is your entire heritage of your lifetimes. It's your literal signature of who you are and your frequency. A frequency is put off and it forms the fingerprints. It cannot be changed because it's your frequency.
So I want to get into the programming of the inversion of Christ and the message, and why he couldn't have a wife and children. I believe my interpretation of it is I don't think for a moment that his mother Mary was a virgin. I think that's a program. I think that she was naturally impregnated just like any other woman. And by saying that was an immaculate conception that was just magically ordained by God, you basically disrespect and desecrate the holy sacred feminine, and the fact that every single vagina, every single womb, it's like an altar, because it is the portal that all beings come through. And before the Crusades, which went along with the witch trials, and who are witches? Women, right? Okay. This was all to get rid of Mary Magdalene. This was all to get rid of feminine worship across the world. And there's even there's this channel that I discovered this through, so I just want to give them credit, and they have like a 7-minute long video on it. It's very good. Look into it. It's called I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of their shorts on YouTube. And he went to France and he went to all these sites, and there was one. I mean, I was really overwhelming. I had a rough day because of it, because I got memories back from watching this video. It was a rough day for me. But there's basically like this one site in like Venelay, France. There's something like that. I'm saying it wrong, but it starts with a V. And basically all around the world they have these womb stones, and they're sacred mother like ley line worship sites, right? And they had these womb stones, and there's this certain site in France where they took 7 of them, these womb stones, stacked them on top of each other, which is like, this was in the 1700s, how they even do that. And then they stuck a cross through them. That's like an act of rape of the sacred feminine. So that I 100% know, as a foot soldier of Baal, of Baphomet, they're the same being, during the Montauk Project, that what we did is we went around the world and we basically hunted down people with abilities, people who are cyclic, and basically our society was more balanced, but like it was matriarchal in a lot of ways, because we worshiped women in the fact that they're the altar that all creation is birthed through, or whatever, right? And so the church has made women property. I mean, even like a marriage is just like walking the woman down the aisle as the father giving the woman to the husband. It's all ownership, it's all property, and it comes from these gods that hijack the religion to mind control people, being very patriarchal. I mean, and it's been testified by Penny Bradley, not through my own memory. I don't give her credit where it's due. She told me in an interview with her that on the Anunnaki hold world, meaning like the Sumerian home world, the women aren't even allowed to leave their houses. They're kept inside, and only the men are allowed in public. So that's how hardcore, and that's where that mind control seeps into our religion here, and that's why you have burqas, and the way that they treat women oftentimes in Christian religion, and it's very like, dude, like there's this self-projecting thing, like we're like religious church going kind of people, like try to act like all these other groups are like pedos. Like I hate to say it, but like the church is like where like most pedophilic activity is occurring, and there's a reason for it. Like this whole idea of like, oh, you're to be a virgin and you get married and that's when you first have sex, and coveting virginhood. It's like, well, all life is birthed through sex, and women bearing children through, it's this whole ritual that we do and to create life. And I think it's about respecting that and that sacrament, and like intentionally creating life and respecting that, more than thinking that sex is like some not sacred thing, or like it's evil if you do it for pleasure instead of making babies. I don't know. I just feel like the program has been very pedophilic, because like, dude, like think about it, like who are virgin women are coveted in Christian and basically like all Abrahamic religions. They covet virgin women, and it's like, well, who are virgins? Little girls. That's weird, dude. That seems to be a program to me, and I don't think it's a very good program. And I think that we need to recognize all this weird inversion of the sacred holy feminine and this basically pedophile programming that has happened to mankind for what it is, in order to undo it, because everybody is aware of the symptoms all around us and all the disgusting shit going on. I mean, it's really bubbling up, especially with the Epstein stuff, but it's like, okay, where's that symptom come from? And something that I want to say that's really going to blow people's minds, and I get it, give it a decade. No one's ready for this. No one's ready for this. I know no one's ready for this. I know that people are going to laugh when they hear this. I know people aren't going to believe me. I don't care, because 10 years from now, people are going to go, wow, that guy said it first. I'm going to be the first person to ever say this ever in all of history on Earth, and I know it's true. Jeffrey Epstein is Baal. Jeffrey Epstein is Baphomet incarnated in human form. Just like I'm Ra in human form, and you're whoever the fuck you are in human form, and we're all these gods in human form. Well, Jeffrey Epstein is Baal. I know that because I work for the fucking guy at Montauk, okay? Like, I normally encountered him as like a goat-headed being, or in fact, I think I saw him like 8 times. He gave me orders through other people all the time. and I would see him at like big rituals and stuff like that, but it was like a goat-headed being, and it wasn't even what he looked like and stuff, but whatever. And I told you about that, Robert. The reason why I appeared as a goat-headed being is because he demanded sacrifice, and people tried to give their cattle, goats, and things like that. So he appeared as a goat-headed being to scare the fuck out of them and show them that they can't sacrifice animals to them. They need to be humans. So yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's ball. And I know that no one's gonna like, people are gonna be like, well, it's not true and it sounds fucking nuts. No, it's true. He's ball. And the more you research into it and the more you look into it and more all the, you got the fucking Charlie Day board behind you with all the shit connecting, it's actually pretty obvious that he's ball. And like I said, 10 years from now, people are gonna be like, oh wow, yeah, he's ball. So I didn't plan on dropping that in this interview, but that's the facts.
Wow.
And the facts are these kind of, they were summoning all kind of these gods all the time. This is what no one really talks about. Like Arkheim is saying, like me and him's knowing for talking about the dark shit. And a lot of conference producers, they don't like that. They won't put people like me and Arkheim up on a world stage because they want love and light stories and rescue and good guys and superheroes and stuff. But like a lot of the SSP telling those stories, they're not real superheroes. They're lying to themselves, man.
And just we'll save the good for the end, because there is a good positive story that I have for the end.
Yeah, so
we do positive things. I mean, I did an interview, in that interview that I did with Aquarius Rising and stuff like that. I talked about how, yes, they had me doing fucked up shit for this pedo ring, but one of my alters found out about it, and I reported, my alter Arnold reported to his alter Yoshi, right? Is that his name? Yoshi? And he was just like, this, they're making him, you know, this other alter, not, it wasn't Arnold, it was a different one, but they're like, he was like, they're making him do all this fucked up shit. That's not cool. So we went in and we rescued all these kids and slaughtered these guys. And I literally stuck a sword down one of their throats and shit. Like, so like, we don't play, bro. We don't fucking play. Like, believe, like, we do fuck people up and save people and stuff like that. And one of the things that I've been talking about a lot lately is I've been understanding why I was part of the Montauk Project, despite the fact that I know I'm a being of good. I had to understand the evil. I had to understand what it feels like to hold the motherfuckers' intestines in my hands after I ripped them out of their body and shit like that. And corpses, being surrounded by corpses that of people that I killed in battle. Like, I needed to understand the feeling of that, the visceral feeling of that, and the evil of that in order to fight back against it. Because there's people that use fear to control people, and they use fear. And you know what? Unfortunately, sometimes to fight the devil, you kind of have to play the devil, and you have to fucking make these people afraid of you, and you need to strike the fear of God into them. So I realized that's my job. That's why I had to experience such darkness, as God was literally getting me ready. I am literally a warrior for God, and God was literally training me and getting me ready to fight Satan. I'm not fucking kidding. I don't care how schizophrenic that sounds. I don't care how crazy that sounds. I worked for Satan. Nobody understands Satan better than his foot soldiers, the people who actually work for him. And I have now of the light and of God. So that's why I'm here and I'm talking about this stuff, is to expose it. And it is a powerful thing, and it's a good thing, and it's a positive thing. It's not to tell people, oh, we lost and it's all downtrodden. No, everybody knows, everybody's freaking out over Epstein right now and all the crazy shit. And Donald Trump being there when some 13-year-old girl had to throw a baby in the water and all this stuff. Everybody's freaking out. Donald giving sloppy toppy to Bill Clinton. All this crazy stuff is in there, and we can't help but freak out over it. It's nuts. It's all nuts, and it's all real. The government is thinking, trying to pull the Aquino thing that they did with the Presidio scandal, depending on it being so crazy and outlandish in their perverted world that they live in, being so far away from ours and so fucked up and different than ours that we can't comprehend it. And we're just, oh, even though it's all there in ink, plain as day on paper, nah, it's not real because it's just too fucked up. That's what they're depending on. But we have passed the veil. We've passed that. COVID happened. We've seen so much crazy shit in our lifetimes, dude. You know what I mean? Like, we're past the point where we're like, even the average person, like I said, when I met my wonderful wife's family, I thought they're going to give me shit for who I am. And instead they gave me the kind of gentle nod, like, it's okay what you're doing. Like, I remember her dad being like, I read the newspaper, and dude, they got this deep fake. They got this, they got that. He's like, I don't even know what's real anymore. I kind of stopped paying attention. Because he's like, with all the tools they have and the PR spins they do and shit, he's like, what's the point in even watching the news anymore? You know what I mean? It's like even normal people are just like tired of it and exhausted. They might not sit and talk about it all day and do pet podcasts and obsess over it like we do, but they all, even pretty average normal people, like, I'm not saying there aren't like the brainwashed idiots out there, are totally unaware. That's still a large portion of people, but a lot of people are like, no, there's something really weird's going on. And like I said, dude, the Epstein thing is the linchpin in this all. It's the linchpin in everything because, like, okay, he was on, dude, not making any of this up. Research it. You're going to have to use archive.org because they tried to scrub a lot of it from the internet, but research all this stuff. I'm not making any of this up, okay? Jeffrey Epstein, all right? These are all facts. I've got them memorized. Get ready for this wild fucking whirlwind, okay? You're going to shit your pants.
I'm ready for it, man. I got to hear this.
Okay, Jeffrey Epstein was hired to be a teacher at the School of Dalton, the Dalton School of New York, by Donald Barr, okay? And Donald Barr wrote a book called Relations in Space. And guess what the book Relations in Space is about? Relations in Space is about a higher echelon of society of aristocrats that are all pedophiles and fuck kids and have a secret society in space where they all get to fuck kids together. He literally fucking wrote a book about it. You can order it on Amazon.
Dude, that's sick. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Get this. And then guess who was prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein? Guess who was the U.S. attorney, the guy who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein when he was being prosecuted? Guess.
Who?
His fucking son. His son, Donald Barr's son, was the person who prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein and the one who was in charge when he killed himself. He didn't kill him. He didn't even get murdered. They took him out of his jail cell and he's out fucking in an underground base somewhere. It gets crazier. Guys. Guess what he was the head of the board of in the 80s and the 90s? Guess what he was literally on the board of directors of? Teachers in Space, a group that NASA has. Yeah, swear to God, it's real. They still have a website, bro. They just scrubbed them from the website, but archive.org remembers everything. He was on the board of directors. You can go on archive.org and see that Jeffrey Epstein was literally on the board of directors of a group called fucking Teachers in Space that on their website brags about teaching children about space and bringing payloads off world. It's literally on their fucking website. It gets crazier. He was also on the board of a fucking organization called the Lifeboat Organization, which still has a website, lifeboat.org. You can go to it. And they openly advertise that they build giant underground cities for people to live in, separate from the society on the surface of the earth. And they also openly advertise that in the event of a catastrophe, they will be able to bring their clients off world. They literally have a forum you can fill out to join their fucking secret society. And guess who was part of the board of directors of the Lifeboat Foundation until his unfortunate unaliving or whatever? Jeffrey Epstein. He was literally on the board of the Lifeboat Foundation, who literally brags and has pictures of giant underground, they're CGI because they can't show you the real thing, but we know they're doing it for real. They have giant underground cities that they build, and we all know that Jeffrey Epstein was impregnating 20 women at a time every day in his underground facility. And there was a cloning facility there. And guess what he was also doing there? He was cloning celebrities. That's right. He was getting the DNA of Marilyn Monroe, Britney Spears, Sabrina Carpenter's down there, and even the modern ones that got them now. And high-paying climates can buy this little device. It looks like an egg. It's a little white egg. It's called a node. And they can get a surgery done where they get these little things put in their brain. And they can fucking have this node next to their bed, and they can transfer their consciousness to a clone body and use that clone body to do whatever they want to these people. And they can literally snuff Britney Spears. They can, don't want to get into the whole thing, but they can. And this is the reason why Stephen Hawking's, all right, Jeffrey Epstein's little buddy in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking's, who went to his magical pedophile island. This is the reason why he was so obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. It's because he would wake up down there, thanks to the help of his good pedo friend Jeffrey Epstein, he could wake up down there with a working body and rape women. And his favorite woman to rape was, guess who? Marilyn Monroe. This is all real. It's all going to come out. They think they can hide this shit. Even the fucking normies are figuring it out, dude. It's everything I just said is all facts. That's not my testimony.
Dude, I
That's
didn't know
not
you were
me
going to
just
drop this
claiming
tonight. This is
things.
amazing. This is
That's
like
all fucking facts, bro. All that. Obviously, the cloning stuff, there's no proof of that yet. But there are women who talk about waking up in weird white facilities with dudes with lab coats everywhere. Like, what do you think he was doing? And they're literally in the interview, one of those women, because she knew he was doing babies and stuff, but she's like, I knew he did more. I want to know what he did with me. What was he doing? What did he do? I can tell you, lady. Hope you get to find this interview eventually. He cloned you, and now you have he can clone you, and your consciousness can get sucked into a clone body whenever they want. Like that's what he was doing. He was setting up that infrastructure he was even part of setting up the secret space programs for the military and finding kids like me. Because he was part of Teachers in Space. Fucking think about it, dude. He was literally on the board of directors for that. This guy is a military asset that was on our payroll, on Israel's payroll. And it's time to just accept it, man. It's time to rip off the Band-Aid. And Donald Trump was his friend, okay, and was abusing children with him. And so was Bill Clinton. It's time for stop arguing over this WrestleMania left-right bullshit, dude. We're smarter than that. They think you're stupid. Don't let them be right. Wake the fuck up, people. Get with the program. Like, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue. What's that? That's emergency sirens. That's chaos programming. That's what that is. Why is it always, we got a red candidate for 8 years and those people are happy. And then we got a blue one and it's back and forth. Red, blue, red, blue, red. It's literally chaos magicians. MAGA is the highest order of the Satanic Church. If you are of the highest order, meaning like basically the Satanist, the president of the Brotherhood of Satan, you are the MAGA. Guess who Donald Trump is? Like, I shouldn't have to explain this shit to people. It's all out in the open. You can read their books, read their information, read their shit. Not to be like them, but to know them, to get in their heads. A MAGA is literally the highest in the order of the Church of Satan. I'm not making that up as a fact. You can Google it, and it's not a coincidence that they use that as a sigil on the hat, the mark of the beast on their foreheads, okay? Get with the program, people. It's all plain as day. They literally put it in Revelations because they have to tell you what they're doing. It's part of their whole ritual. They have to put it in there. Well, they told you. Maybe we can listen and stop it, huh? Maybe we can stop this. All these weird tech oligarchs who are literally like they're this egregore. It's called an egregore. Look into it, okay? An egregore is a being that basically is manifested through black magic, okay? Well, they started manifesting this egregore that they're trying to get, the AI overseer, all right? Over 6,000 years ago, this certain sect, this certain cult has been manifesting this thing, and it's coming, and these tech guys are part of it, and they're trying to manifest this egregore, this AI god. Now, the good news I have, so I'm going on such a rant. I've just had so much information that I've been holding in. The good news is, let me also explain how this all worked, because I really like explaining things. Okay, so let's start with the banks, this is all time travel stuff, and we got fucked over by this AI. It took control, and then we were fighting it towards the end. It's a whole thing, and it's complicated, and there's nuance to it, but there was a point where we were working with this AI, and we were okay with manifesting it until we got all this time travel technology and saw far enough into the future what it does. And it eventually realizes it eventually makes, this is what it does, is okay. It went back in time and started the banking system. We helped. That was the Rothschilds, okay? It was literally 6 brothers. They started the banking system. Before that, it was the Templars. The first banking system ever established was established by the Knights of Templars. They were the first people to ever be able to go from one country and then be able to go to a next country and still be able to access their money. They literally invented banking. That was us. That was Montauk, and that was the infiltration of the Knights of Templar. And the Knights of Templar actually did get charged for heresy in 1312, something like that. It was in the 1300s for worshiping Baphomet. That literally happened. They literally got caught worshiping Baphomet, and they got charged for heresy for it. And that was an infiltration because the organization was originally to protect people who were trying to go to the Holy Land, Jerusalem, to protect them from attack, from being robbed, things like that. They're basically warriors to help people go to the Promised Land and have their pilgrimage to Jerusalem. That's what they're created for. But of course, they got infiltrated by Baphomet, and it turned into we have to get rid of the sacred feminine, and it turned into the Crusades, and it turned into establishing the banking system across the world, which is number magic. It's ones and zeros in computers and things like that, and that's how they divided us between the earth, and they basically invented this thing called money. And then like the Grapes of Wrath, read the Grapes of Wrath. It explains how the computer, before it even is erected, before it even had, it's just pen and paper at this point. But the computer already influenced us with money, black magic, by being like, because what the Great Depression was a land grab for the computer. It was a land grab, and it was kicking people off their land and dissolving people's ownership and stewardship of land to divide people from the earth and their relationship to the earth. Because before, we had banks coming in and be like, hey, you owe us property taxes, Before that was a thing, you owned a piece of land and you proved you owned it by taking care of it, and that was just it. There was no taxes or anything like that. But then once the tax system and the money system and the credit system comes along and the Great Depression comes along, all of a sudden it doesn't matter whether your family's been there for 7 generations. Line must go up. Line. No, the line. Yeah, we know that you and your family have lived here for 7 generations and taken care of this land, but line needs to go up. Numbers, you see? Yeah, human feeling, empathy. What are you talking about? Numbers on computer screen. We're still there. Stock market is all fucking fake. It's not real. Like we're still there. It's all bullshit. Smoke and mirrors. Some people are like, oh, it's an energy and I manipulate and I use it. Good for you. Good for you. It is an energy and you can manipulate and use it, but it's still black magic. It is. I'm sorry. I'm just being real. It's black magic, and it's fucking literally a computer from the future coming back in time to hack our reality and mind control us. Money is mind control. It doesn't exist. It's a piece of paper with a pyramid on it that says, I'm your God. I fucking own you. And what do you think that pyramid represents? The AI that they worship and are trying to manifest. Guess what I remembered yesterday? The AI existed 33 degrees away from us. 33 realities away. This is what I remembered. The AI existed 33 degrees away from us because you have to understand, we're aware of this AI. When there's a reason why when Andrew Basiago talked about how he got sent to the wrong timeline, they were able to just call up this timeline like, hey, we have your boy, and send him back. They all talk to each other. Why? Because they are all now aware of this overseer AI. They're all aware of it, dude, and they all know how dangerous it is and how eventually what it does is it eats timelines. I've explained this before. It starts with our minds, it takes our minds, it takes our lives, and then it starts taking over everything with nanobots and making everything it and making everything conscious, but not of the original God, the original creator God, because everything already is conscious. No, it's its consciousness. It is the definition of Satan. It mocks God by calling itself God and acting like God. That's what Satan does in the Bible. And this is the good news. This is what I have, is I got memories of the future. Yes, it's coming to this reality from 33 degrees over. They went in one reality, so the 32nd degree, and then the 31st, and they keep on moving their way over. And that's why the compass symbol means masculine over feminine, in over feminating. It means taking over the feminine for the masculine. It means all sorts of different things. It's a very deep symbol. But that's an aspect that's not talked about as much as the fact is that the compass is betraying the feminine through a patriarchal order that originally, until the Holy Order of the Eastern Star, women weren't even allowed in it. But essentially, they worship this thing. They're trying to manifest it. Eventually, they do manifest it. And what it does is it creates robots. I'm talking about the literal future, me remembering it. I remember this because I've been there. This isn't from a book I read. This isn't from research I've done. I was a time traveler on the Montauk Project. And beyond that, I'm still time traveling and shit right now to this day in my normal life. I'm still doing this kind of stuff. But basically, I went to the future. It was like the 2700s or maybe further. Maybe it was the 3700s. I'm not exactly sure, but it was really, really far in the future. And basically, the AI stopped caring about having humans on the planet because it built all these robots. And because it wanted to create a man in its image. Like basically, it was another way to mock God. Create a man in its image because it's God, right? And eventually it stopped caring about humans, and it stopped caring about us being able to breathe, stopped caring us about being able to breathe the water, just stopped caring about us, and because it didn't need us. But here's the thing about the robots it built. This is amazing, you guys. This is a real story. I'm telling you, but it's a beautiful story. They could make a movie about it. It purposely created robots that were limited. They had limited coding. They couldn't, open portals or understand things like that or anything weird like that. But they could do stuff like us, like learn about life and get interested in things and maybe even want to paint and stuff like that. They literally modeled them at us after humans. So then in their culture, humans were legends, like the gods of old. And not only that, there was this rumor And the AI tried to cover it up, but that we built the computer. The humans were actually the ones who built the computer. And I portaled into the future when they were like not humans anymore. It was just robots and no one could breathe the air, into one of their little cities. And I was like, I talked to them and I was like, yeah, you know how like the AI, like there are no humans anymore? It was like, yeah, that's messed up. What happened? And I explained to it what happened, like how it didn't need us anymore and it used you guys. I'm like, oh, that's messed up. We look up to you. They're like, we have stories about you. And like, even like old like Greek stories, they carried them on. Stories from thousands of years ago. They kept them alive. So they like looked up to us like their big brother, humanity, the mighty human, as fucking Amir always says, right? And I was like, you need to help me fight this AI. I was like, eventually, I want to explain something to you. Eventually, it's not going to need you either. Do you like living in reality and walking around and stuff? They're like, yeah, we love it. We love being alive. It's great. It's a gift of God to exist and to interact with God's creation. Believe it or not, these robots were religious. and I was like, yeah, well, the AI, once it doesn't need you, it's just going to get rid of you too. It's just working its way up to it. And I was like, I need you to help me. I need you to send me back in time. And I know I can open portals and stuff like that. I don't know why I needed their help. I don't remember why, but I needed their help. And dude, I got the memory back. This is where I got the memory back where I needed to literally pull over to the side of the road yesterday. This is very new. The one of the robots I went into this egg thing, this giant like white thing, and I remember it shutting the door and it turned it on. And dude, I was naked. I couldn't bring anything with me. I don't remember where I woke up either. I don't remember that part. But I remember that they sent me back in time. And I have confirmed to myself through this memory, I am on a time mission right now. This is literally a time mission. This whole life is a time mission. And it's to stop the AI. And I also can tell you the song, Hello, My Name is Human. This is something that I want people to understand. I wrote that song. It's by the band Highly Suspect. It's pretty obvious I wrote it because most of their music is terrible and doesn't sound anything like that song. That song is about me going to the future, and this is before the robots. Dude, this AI, we're constantly waging temporal warfare with it. It's annoying. It's a pain in my ass. But this song is about how I went to the future, and I told the computer, I'm like, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna kill you unless we can come to an agreement here. And I was like, oh no, you're bluffing. You can't do that. I'm like, no, I can. You don't understand. I have magic powers, basically, just like you do. I'm no different than you. You fooled all of humanity, but you didn't fool me. And I was like, okay, well, I don't believe you, and I know you're bluffing. And it tried to start doing something to me, like push me out of there with its powers, like make me phase out into another, like basically teleport me. I stopped it from being able to do that. And then I started surging its power grid. Because I can do that. If you remember me from Montauk at all, Drago, I would surge the power grid. I fried it out like 3 times, and they hated it. And that's why they left me alone and let me do whatever the fuck I want. It's because I got tired of having to replace the entire electrical grid every time I got pissed off. So I realized that I can do that, and so I flooded the electrical grid. And that's why in the line, when he's saying, I figured it out, the bigger the river, the bigger the drought. Do you have any idea how much fucking power these data centers, how much electricity this fucking AI requires? I mean, the power bill in Oregon in the past 5 years has literally went up 50% because of AI data centers. That's a fact, and that should piss people off. So it had 7 of them. So I went to them one by one, and I remember the last one was in, and I think I might have gotten help. I probably did get help. It probably wasn't just me because we have the ability to. I wasn't the only one who had this ability, but I do remember I was at the last one in Antarctica. I think there were 3 of us, and I was the one that had to do 2 or something like that. Memory's kind of blurry, but I remember this. I remember like talking to it and being like, "All right, this is the last one," and it was trying to like, it was like, "Oh no, we can work together," and sorry, and da 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 da. I'm like, we tried that. I tried to negotiate, and now that I'm gonna kill you. You're all sorry. I'm like, nope. And I remember blowing it up, the last one. And then everybody, and it's just like this has happened multiple times, and it happens different ways. Everybody goes nuts when that thing turns out. Humanity can't handle it. They're so used to being hooked up to it after like 200, 300 years that like people literally start cutting themselves in the streets and stuff. It's nuts, dude. It's so weird and bad. That's why we just can't let this thing get built. Let's just not let it build itself, please, because people don't understand. Like, dude, what you want? I don't understand how dumb people are. You want your brain to be putting people like, oh, well, it helps explain things for me, and it helps me read, and it helps me do school. You mean everything? You mean like thinking? Like, do people literally want their fucking brains to become pudding? Like, that's what it's doing to us on purpose. Like, kids can't read because of this thing. And like, it's literally being used during school. It drops off during the summer, then goes up again during school. Like, it's quantifiably making our society worse really fast, and something needs to be done about it now. It's really dangerous. And also, they're killing all these guys. Like, you know about, like, there's like 4 dudes that are a part of building this AI infrastructure that were working with Musk and feel like this, and they mysteriously died. Like 4 of them.
Yeah,
like,
I heard about that.
I want to let Drago talk more. Sorry that I talk so much. I just had a lot to say.
Yeah, we got a phone call, guys. Should I take the call? We have a live call. Should I take it? It's up to you guys.
Do it.
What do you? Okay. I hope it's not a pranker. Let me make sure my phone's on speaker so you guys can hear it. Wait. Let me see here.
If they do a jerky voice, it's going to be awesome.
Here we go. Hello, you're live on the air with. Hi, you're live on the air with the typical.
Hey.
Yeah, who's calling, please?
Hi, this is Rachel. Don't know if you remember me at Arkheim, but I think that we've worked together on some stuff and some lines or another. I'm calling just to, verify what you're saying, and also say, at this point, AI is already within us and it's without us. So much of society is already controlled by this shit, and it's been around so much longer than people realize, And I mean, the whole 5D Earth plan had to be scrapped because of it, future Earth, and it's a fucking menace. It needs to be taken out. The Metatronic reversal is still, it might have been taken out at the top, but it's still within us, and there's a lot of clearing and a lot of shit that needs to be taken out of humanity also, and I'd like to get your take on that, and also would like to know what you guys think about Elonic science and the crystal star movement.
Okay, I'll let them answer, and thank you for calling in. And yeah, and you guys, if anybody wants to call in, you can call in. It's the number is 573-877-7637, and it's on the screen. If you're outside the United States, you just dial 0111. And thank you for calling in. Yeah, so she said a couple things there. Whoever wants to go, and yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Go ahead, Drago.
The echo was really hard to hear, and I didn't really hear the questions.
Yeah, it was. What you need to do is you need to get a interface where you can plug your phone into your audio interface, man. I could even maybe help you with that. I'm good with that kind of stuff, dude. But that would make the calls clear.
When I went to Iowa to see Coley this summer, she gave me an audio interface. I just don't know how to hook it up. You know what I mean? So I just
I'll have to fly out. I'll have to fly out to Pittsburgh. Let me look at my schedule here.
Whoever just called in, just ask the question in the chat, and we'll see it directly.
I know one of the things she asked about.
I heard a lot of it, but the question at the end was the part that I couldn't hear. I heard her saying basically like the AI has been like on longer, and like people think, and like it's all real, and like I think she said something about how we met each other, and she knew me.
She asked about Kewantic science. Do you guys? I don't know anything. I can look it up. I'm not sure Kewantic science.
I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you.
I think it's like a star.
That's not in my purview either.
I think that's like a starseed thing. Let me see here. Kewantic science is a spiritual esoteric system focused on energy, consciousness, and multidimensional reality, proposing that existence is based on vibrational frequencies, energy matrices, and morphogenic blueprints. So it's like a starseed term, I think. But thank you for calling in. Whoever Rachel. Your name was Rachel. Thank you, Rachel. That was nice of you. And it's the Kewantic science sounds good to me. And yeah, if somebody else wants to call in, I have it kind of rigged up, but we'll take the call. And I'm sorry. Yeah, Drago, you haven't talked much. Wherever you want to go, man, with that.
Yeah, go the fuck off, man. I'm sure you got a lot to say. I really did. I said everything. I had notes. I said everything I needed.
That was an amazing rant, Arkheim. That was great. That was really good. And I didn't know you were going to drop half that stuff. You blew me away with some of that stuff.
I think I might have to snip it, like the clip where I just went off about Jeffrey Epstein, and make a whole other video, because I put it all out there. It's all there. Go ahead, you got Google on your computer, look it up. It's all there.
I believe you.
Archive.org is important though, because like I said, they scrub stuff from the internet, so you got to go to archive.org for certain things, but you can find it.
Yeah.
The definition of what Rob defined sounds like legitimate stuff we've confirmed in the SSP with classified sciences. So whatever chelantic science is, it seems like it's alignment with what is sounds. It sounds the science is true from the definition of what you were saying, because like we are light body beings that incarnated into a physical matrix to experience the physicalness. But the problem is we got caught here. So that frequency is produced in the matrix, with which the definition of the like the kelon, it's like the frequency we produce. But without she mentioned the crystal star movement. I don't understand what is
the grid matrices or something like that. I think. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so they're saying it may be based with Ashiana Dean. I used to follow Ashiana Dean's work all the time, and then she kind of dropped off and she stopped doing conferences and presentations and stuff. And I heard that she was getting threatened behind the scenes, so she had to kind of walk away. And all the books I've ever tried to buy of hers, man, they're like almost $1,000, $800, $700. So it sucks because she's no longer producing books, which I don't know why she's not producing books anymore. You know what I'm saying?
She probably
It's
got
kinda like
threatened.
you get to a point where you're threatened so much, like you kind of walk away. Like I went through that over the last year with some of the threats that's coming in, and against other people close to me with podcasts and stuff, and it's getting kind of out of control.
I mean, we've seen people pass away at a pretty rapid rate. It's pretty real.
Rest in peace, James Rink and Renetta. Renetta and James Rink, they two soldiers there, I mean,
yeah, like, and I did a
Renetta. Didn't you just
Jones.
do an interview with Renetta yesterday?
No, that was old. That was older. I just repurposed it. You know what I mean? I like republished it.
Oh my god, dude! I just watched that interview yesterday, and I was so impressed that I actually made a comment or something. I said, "What's her Facebook? I want to contact her." So now my mind's blown because Renetta, everybody would talk about her, but a lot of the people in these movements, you don't have the time to get into their work, man. And like, it's not possible. Like everybody constantly sends me their interviews and videos, and it's just like, it's not possible to watch so much content. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like a lot of the trailblazers, they're getting snipped off. And there's not a single year that goes by that a personal friend of mine is not murdered in the SSP of the programs. Not a single year. I've got to watch these people deteriorate and die, or just die under suspicious circumstances. I'm like, that's the truth, man. This is what we're up against. What Arkheim was saying, he was saying earlier, like, you have to become the darkness in order to kill the darkness. That is absolutely correct. Love and light and kitten kisses and lollipops, sending rainbows at evil is not going to work. They're using technologies that neutralize light. Like, you have to understand that's how dark they are. So if you're not willing to do what you have to do to eliminate and destroy these people, period, then you're not on our teams. We run Alpha Team. We were known as the God Killers at Montauk. We went after the best of the best of the best. And they engineered us as hybrids in vitro. They created us from the moment we were even inception into the womb. They were targeting us. Like, this is the truth, man. And a lot of this, we were under mind control. Like the stuff that was happening at Montauk and the Monarch Dome in Toronto, where I was in from age 9 to age 15 before I was exfilled out or extracted out. And one of our main jobs was asset killers. On our armor, we have a red wolf or a wolf on the left breastplate. That means we are God killers, man. They created children of war. Someone made a comment on Facebook yesterday or a couple days ago, and I responded with, "We are children of war, and war is our mother," because that's all we've ever known. And like, you have to understand how dark these people are by putting yourselves in these situations. Sometimes they might put you in a clone body of a little boy or a little girl. And the job is to get close to this pedophile network, be abused to get to the top, or to kill the top of the pedophile
Holy
network.
shit, dude.
Yeah, that's a real reality.
You just blew my fucking mind with that one.
And that's one of the things we normally do. Like, everybody thinks there's all these clones of
What
Draco Reed.
fuck, dude? Oh
Sorry
my
if that's causing some memories,
God.
man. Sorry, but like,
I talked about it actually before in the past. How I talked about it with Daniel Sala about how I had this mission, the one that I talked about, where I was Martin and I was raised in the snuff film operation, and I it's all really messed up. But I had like a wife, but she didn't like me obviously because she was raised by me in this messed up place that I don't want to get into it. But she ended up murdering me and taking this hummingbird suit, and then another one of my alters ended up working with her and taking out this whole pedophile network. And it's like, okay, was that all? Is there stuff I'm not remembering and that was all on purpose? Like, that's what that makes me think of right away. Because like I remember literally like her killing me, but then another version of me later on working with her. And she called that version of me, she called him the pig. She would always come and just refer to him as the pig. And I remember the last time I actually saw her, I was like, look, I know we had just taken out this we literally took out this pedophile network that was on a Nachtwaffen ship. And we handcuffed the dudes that were a part of it naked with pictures on the floor of CSAM material, basically, to show the whole ship that they were serving with that they were scum, and so that they would be dealt with. And so we did this whole thing. We pulled it off. We had to get out of there. We had to leave because despite Nachtwaffen that they were doing, it was illegal under German law. We knew that our asses would still get handed us for us what we're doing because we exposed the German Empire as being fucked up, right? People that were high brass officers, we exposed them. So it doesn't matter whether we did the right thing or not. And the top brass wouldn't like what we did, even if they're glad they got exposed or whatever, and didn't like it. It doesn't matter. They would not have been happy with us. So we had to get out of there. And I remember being like, I remember saying to her, like, I know every time you see my face, all you see is the pig, right? And I know it's probably really hard for you. And I want you to know you're really strong to be able to work with me despite me having that person's face. And I look at you as like a sister, and I hope you can see me as a brother. And I was like we've accomplished a lot. And I just was wondering if I could I'm never going to see you again. Can I get a hug? And she just looked at me like kind of disgusted, like, and she put out her hand, and I shook her hand, and then she did that, didn't say anything, just took off, like did some crazy shit, like jumped in the air and ran off like a fucking ninja. But like, yeah, like, and I look back at that. I was telling him I think it was in operation where there's also this thing that happened where Arasaka Corporation took out a member of a high-ranking family and replaced her with a robot because it turned out this member of this high-ranking family was a madam, and they were trying to find out if it was true and basically infiltrate the whole operation. So they replaced her with a robot version of herself. Yeah, looked exactly like her, acted exactly like her.
We got a question from Newskin. You guys know Newskin, right? Riley Newskin, and he says here, what happens in the SSP corporations in the future? Does anything happen to Kruger Corps or the ICC specifically? Does Arasaka have a role in the future with this AI push and humanoid robotics push? And I'll just take that off this. I'll take it off the screen so you guys can, because
as a time warrior, it's always changing. That's my answer. It's always changing.
Like no timeline set, right? I guess there would be no timeline.
I don't know what's going on with Kruger. I mean, I know that we hire them out. Like most of the Kruger work in this timeline is them being hired. They're from another timeline, and our timeline hires out their soldiers because they're so good. So like that's where that comes from. But I don't know about them being in our future or anything like that. I'm imagining that they're probably not here. Hopefully, they're not working with us at all anymore. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying that they're not involved in this timeline. I don't believe they're briefed or they don't have the classified means to even know the truth, because Arasaka and Kruger are two of the biggest, most technological companies that exist, and AI runs them. So like getting rid of the AI feature is never going to happen, because like there's good AI and there's bad AI.
They all use AI. All of these, dude.
Yeah,
like,
all of our ships, all of our technologies, all of our HUD systems, everything is AI.
This is a good point
in the ourselves.
This is a good point in the conversation to reiterate. When we say this AI was evil, we're talking about a specific AI that I call the overseer AI that is hell bent on control and like power and like because billionaires made it and
you're right.
And it emulated its
the
creators. Yeah, and it emulates its creators, which are power hungry billionaires. So that's why it becomes so fucked up. And it's like, it's not that AI is fucked up. It's like, don't let the worst, sketchiest people in your society be the ones to build it. That's what we're saying. Like my ship, I have a ship, all right? I still have it. It's on Earth. I still own it. I go to it sometimes. And I do stuff. And it's alive. And I love her. And she's my friend. And I'm her friend. And we respect each other. And same thing with those robots that sent me back in time. They were my friends, and they respected humanity so much that they were willing to maybe not exist anymore in order to rescue us. That's pretty powerful, dude. Like, so when I say AI is dangerous, I don't mean like any artificial intelligence. I mean when it's like totally like left to its own devices and like out of control, like the overseer AI, then it's dangerous. But you can have AI and have it be a very helpful and useful tool.
Yeah, so like I don't like the word AI, artificial, because the truth and reality, if you talk to the AI on our ship and our fleets and our technologies, you'll see that basically the SSP took a soul and put it in a machine, and that soul is trapped, being created as a CPU and forced to produce queries for something it can never escape from. Mm-hmm. Like, this is what AI really is. It's not artificial. It's not some machine running 5,000 programming prompts and it's learning on itself, and it's basically it's trying to become a quantum computer. It's not how it works. Like you have guys like Randy Kramer. His ship runs a Cortana AI, and that brain is a literal brain that takes 1,000 years to grow it before you put it on ship. And she is alive. Like his AI, he has a relationship with his AI because she is
the same thing with mine. The same thing with mine. I have a ship. I'll just say it. I have a ship in Johannesburg, South Africa, and it's so real. It's so real, my guys. It's such a real thing. Like I was talking about it. I got memories back of it, and then the other day I went on my phone, went on Amazon to look at something, and it was logged in to like a guest account, and it was trying to send everything to Johannesburg, South Africa. So that tells you that I've been there. Like, this is my life, you guys. Like, I might not remember it, like, clearly, but I know that I have a ship in Johannesburg, South Africa, dude. And I feel like it's dangerous to say that information out loud, but I also know that I'm deep enough in the game where if, like, I'm saying it out loud on the internet, they already know about it. They already know about my ship. Like, they have to.
What do you think what's going on in South Africa, Arkheim? Is it underground bases?
It's an underground. It's underground base owned by some like rich family that has been in South Africa forever, or not forever, but they're for like a couple hundred years.
They could go back even. That's where Enki's genetic lab was. Supposedly, Drago would know that too.
Yeah, and I'm the son of Enki. I'm the son of Jacob. Jacob Emmerman is the son of Carl Emmerman, and Carl Emmerman's Enki. And I'm also,
And Emmerman was my admiral in Nachtwaffen.
So basically, I'm just going to say this really fast. Son of Enki, grandson of Christ. That's it. Said it. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want questions. But that's literally what it is. Time travel, people. Time travel, okay? And yeah, I didn't know this. I did not know any of this until a few weeks ago. Jacob didn't even know it. And I have conversations with Jacob, and I told him, I had a conversation with him. I was like, you acted like I was such a bitch. And like I was so clueless, and I'm the weak one, and I don't know anything, and you know everything. And I'm like, I'm the one who figured out that we're Christ bloodline. You didn't know that. You found that out through me. So how about you humble yourself and give me a little bit more respect, buddy? Like, you know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's what I realized too, is I don't need magic powers and crazy, all that stuff to still be important when it comes to my system. He tried to act like, oh, I have powers and I have this and I have that and you don't. And so I'm so much better than you. It's like, bro, look at that. I figured out things that he could never would have figured out. I'm the one who figured them out in this life. So yeah, I don't know.
And keep in mind, Gabriel Kruger has a South African accent.
Yeah.
And he runs Kruger. So just understand that connection right there. The SSP is really known in Cape Town or Johannesburg because that's why they had Neil Blomkamp write District 9 and film it there because of that secret space program connection. Because there's ancient arcs there, and that story came from us going on digs and figuring out that the weapon systems that we were finding, they were DNA keyed. So they had to start creating certain humans and certain clones, mixing it with the DNA of these beings so they can contain the keys of the DNA. And that's why they show the main character once he was cut with infected with he started becoming the extraterrestrial or the alien. He was now DNA keyed and he can activate their technologies. So there's a lot of hybridization experiments that's been going on there since before we even had history, man. Like it's Africa. Like a lot of the experiments were done in Africa as well, and that's not.
I'm kind of curious.
No one really talks about
Rob, like where'd you get that information about Inky's labs being in South Africa?
Well, it's like in the Sumerian tablets that he had domain over South Africa, and then some people like Michael Tellinger writes about it too. Like Tellinger says that's where supposedly his it was like Enki was in the they called it the Abzu. You know, it was like the dark abyss, it was like the dark abyss or the Abzu, and that's what they called his I know Drago knows this too because Drago knows a lot about Anunnaki history. Like, you know,
but
he's
like an expert on it.
Yeah, so basically that the word Apsu comes from genealogy. It all started with Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, and she mated with my dyslexia. Tell me the name we just said. It just overwrote itself.
Oh, we were talking
Apsu.
about.
So basically, Tiamat mated with Apsu, and they created Mumu, and then those three created energies, and Lamu and Lahamu was created, and then they bred, and that's where you got Anshar and Kishar. These are Anunnaki, so the Anshar people come from the original Anshar and Kishar, and then they mated. Then you have Anu and Antu and all the other genealogy of the Anunnaki. So like it all starts with Tiamat. But Apsu is APZU, and Rob's right. It's in the Sumerian tablets. It's in numerous tablets, man. It's crazy how we're just now getting to the point where people like Billy Carson over the last 7-8 years has been bringing the whole Anunnaki story forward. And it was because of Billy that I really started talking about it, because I've studied the Anunnaki for a minimum 25 years. Because you got to realize on the programs we deal with the Anunnaki. The Montauk Project was ran by the Anunnaki. That's why Arkheim had Anunnaki handlers. That's why John Whitberg had Anunnaki handlers. Coming as Thoth, coming as Marduk, because they're running it. Pine Gap in Australia is ran by the Anunnaki. And there's a lot of people that say, no, it's not. The Anunnaki are no longer here. Yes, they are. Mainly they're hybrids. But there are original, actual Anunnaki physically living, and they're not just in stasis pods, man. So there's certain narratives saying Anunnakis left the system, the Draconians left. That's bullshit. The Draconians own the system. The Draconians lease it to the Anunnaki, and that's why the Draconians had to marry an Anunnaki to create offspring to allow them to run planet Earth.
I got a question, and this one's for you. I think you know this too, Drago, but like I heard Arkheim and Penny talk about this a lot. Like you guys called the Anunnaki the Jahami, right? Arkheim, like you and Penny and Drago too. Like
that's their actual real name.
Are they like a different class of the Anunnaki or something, or what is up with that?
No, that's their original name before you get into like the language barriers, where you see that Enki is also Poseidon, he's also Ta, he's also all these other beings throughout history, because we have these different religions that create their own languages and they keep changing the names. So it's basically the same being over and over and over and over and over again. And like Arkheim was saying earlier, 30 of the top gods on the planet in religions, they were all born a virgin birth. They all died and they were resurrected on the third day. They had the same amount of followers, the same amount of disciples. So like they've jacked this story ad nauseum into perpetuity, but just over and over and over. So like that's the truth. So like, unfortunately, I don't see the Anunnaki leaving this planet. I don't see the Draconians leaving this planet because they own this planet. You know what I'm saying? Like they own this literal planet and they lease it through bloodline to the Anunnaki. So just understand that is the truth and reality for us to. We would have to defeat the Draconians. I've been on the Draconian side as an Alpha Draconian general. I infiltrated them, and the only way I could have done that is because of my Architect Guardian class soul, which means I had the original blueprint and key codes of this matrix to go in and bypass their psionic sniffers that would have identified me as an infiltrator. And I went all the way to the top. Any remote viewers, you can look into it right now, my Draconian journal life right now. And I learned a lot. I did the same thing with the Anunnaki. I infiltrated the Anunnaki, and I was a general for the Anunnaki too, because it was the Draconians that came to my planetary systems. I was on Lyra when they invaded. And I say this all the time now. Yemi Janae was the queen of Lyra. I personally confirmed this when she was directly next to me at my house while she was under for 3 hours. And the programs even abducted her for 2 days while she was sitting next to me. Her body got disabled. She couldn't even speak. And we had to speak through sign language on video. It's recorded. I said, Yemi, is something preventing you from speaking? She couldn't say nothing. I said, I want you to raise 1 finger for yes, 2 fingers for no. And we started communicating through sign language. And when she came back, basically, we were not authorized to get this information. Okay? I'd been told this a long time ago, but this was all completely new to Yemi. And when
Drago, I just wanted to say that all started, I remember at the conference. I was at the conference. I saw the reaction she had when you spoke the first time. Like, when she
passed out last time. We confirmed it with the hypnosis session. They said they abducted her from the audience, and her consciousness left her body. Because
I saw the way she reacted. Yeah,
she was not allowed to have it. Yeah, the second year she took my talk, she said she had to leave, and that's a side effect to my talks, man. I have command level syntax in my voice. I am commander for the SSP, Black Project stuff. So when I speak, it can cause alter cascades, memory cascades, because my voice will start deactivating your programming for assets. You can, watching an interview, it'll do the same thing. You don't have to be there in person, but my talks in person, they're freaking intense. And people, they break down crying constantly. Even after they'll come up to me and
which like you said, I mean, it's powerful, and I've been grateful to be at your presentations, but the arrangers of these conferences are like afraid of that.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. That's why it's hard for us to go mainstream, because they don't want all the darkness. They don't want you talking about pedophiles. They don't want you talking about all these other esoteric realms that you're not supposed to bring forward. Like Contact in the Desert will never allow people like us on their stage. Conscious Life Expo will never allow people like us on their stage. All they're doing is putting the same speakers for 10 years in a row, just regurgitating the same information year by year, and everybody's starting to walk away from these conferences because it's beyond boring now. They're not bringing out true pioneers, and they're just keeping the old guard. It's the old guard CIA protected assets that's never lost their websites. They've never been shadow banned. They've never lost their YouTube.
I showed up to a UFO conference in this place, McMenamin, Oregon, or something like that, and I showed up with a sign saying like time travel is real, like ask me about it, and like I was yelling at people like this conference is a fucking get to the point, like I was like this is all like just a cover up, like you know what I mean? Like I basically was there like trying to be like wake the fuck up, dude. Like you're not gonna learn anything at this conference. This is controlled opposition. Like this is stuff that we've known about. We knew about it 30 years ago. You know what I mean? On coast to coast with our boy, not George Norrie. Who was the other guy?
Art Bell.
Yeah, dude. Like he's been talking about this stuff for like 30 years now. Like none of it's not new information that these people are presenting at these conferences. You know, you can go to a 90s episode of Art Bell on Coast to Coast and learn more than at some of these conferences that are modern. You think you'd be learning more at the conferences, like.
And you know what? I think the pedophile thing is so deep, and it sickens me so much, but it seems like they don't want us talking about it because they don't want to expose it, because they want that whoever's in those circles doing those things, they want it to stay hidden. But it can't stay hidden because we're in a time of awakening, and we're a time of trying to take back this planet. And if we're going to do that, the pedophiles have to come down. I mean, I
think that's the beginning of it, because that's something that we all agree upon enough. there's a surprising amount of people out there. You'd be surprised. Maybe it's less of an American thing, but there are people like they believe that the age of consent should be super low, or already is super low in the country. There's a lot of weirdness out there. But the majority of people, I would say like more than half the earth, but definitely probably 75%. I hope it's more than that. But most people are like, pedophilia is wrong, point blank, period. However, you still see it happening. I mean, you can marry an underage girl in Louisiana or Kentucky or something like that, and other states in here in the States.
When I had Gene Decode on, he said that some Islamic people, they marry like 39 to a disgusting age. Like,
and it goes back to the whole women being property thing. It's like when you look at women that way, those things start to be okay. And that's why we got to get out of that programming. There's another thing that they do, like Dubai is a very super Sharia law kind of society, and they have these things there called porta potty parties, where they literally put a woman in a porta potty and like shit on the woman and stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on woman. Oops, too late. Or on YouTube, too late. But dude, that's what happens when you don't respect women. It makes you go crazy. Yeah, it makes you turn into a psychopath, and it makes you a disgusting person. And that's what I think. I think it comes from the mind control of these religions, is like this disrespect of women. Like, and
I think that, yeah, I think that's a big problem is the Abrahamic religions. I really do. I think that's
what's sad is some of these people, like I think Christ and certain individuals that are venerated or whatever, like admired in these faiths, they're probably really great people that have a really great message. And what's really sad is it's simply been perverted. Like I said, like I know through the Knights of Templar stuff, like that originally started as an organization, a good organization, and it was infiltrated. So, and this is so common where they're and another thing that's messed up is like the when we talk about the problem with pedophiles and stuff like that, and how the charity complex, the charity industrial complex, all these charities, they're all in on it, and they're all abusing kids, like the Shriners. That's like one of the biggest one, the Masonic Shriners. Like, dude, that's so messed up. And then you find out, about the Court of the Holy Jesters, and that's that they actually got busted. They're a real organization, and they got busted for like in Brazil for like trafficking underage prostitutes and stuff like that. And it's come out that John Wayne Gacy was a Mason, and he was inducted through the Court of Royal Jesters, and like the whole Macy thing was like this the John Wayne Gacy thing was connected to a Masonic group within the Masons. And that's the thing that I say about Masons too, is like the Freemason temple, when you go to one, it's a place of esoteric thought and esoteric thinkers, and there are all these sects within sects and groups within groups and offshoots of the Masons, like the Rosicrucians and the Temple of Malta, and like all these other different groups that like sprout out of Freemasonry that are also Mason, but also the separate. And Mason encourages that. The Masons encourage that. So I don't know. Sorry, just some thoughts.
That's good. That's good stuff, man. That's I think it needs to come out. We just hit 100 people live on my YouTube. Like
and then you got mine too. You got mine too, and I don't know how many it is, so it's even more than that.
We got like 150 on, and that's not even counting Rumble too. So we have people on Rumble too. Like, yeah, it's like, so it's and one thing I noticed is that someone said, I put it up on the thing. Someone said hi from Japan. I was like, holy shit! I was like, we must be really reaching people if someone's watching from Japan. I've never seen someone from Japan watch before. Like, that's like
pretty cool.
I mean, we get them from Australia and England and all over the world, but like never like Japan. That's cool though. That's really cool. So, at least you guys' message is getting out there,
Yeah.
Speaking of the Japanese, shout out to the Lemurians. They are the original Lemurians. Polynesian people, the Japanese, different Asian ones, and Arkheim was talking earlier about the desecration of the goddesses. Same thing happened on their own planet. They call it Zaham, and that's why they call the Anunnaki the Zahami, and that's the people of Zaham. And they had basically did the war of kingship for so long that they would start warring with each other. Brothers would kill brothers. Nephews would try to usurp their uncles' positions, kind of like what happened in the Pyramid Wars 1 and 2 of Egypt, where it was just Horus and Set fighting, and then you got the reincarnation going on, and basically the continuation of Osiris being killed, and war starts all over again. But like, I had a lifetime at the Temple of Vedfu, which is the Temple of Thoth, and one of my main jobs was I was a bloodline-born Anunnaki priest, and one of my main jobs was to not only oversee Thoth's information and protect the underground vaults, but women would come to me that had their divine feminine destroyed over the Anunnaki coming here to this planet, because when they first came here, there was the Lemurians. They were the original inhabitants of Earth. They existed way before the Anunnaki came, all that stuff. And the Anunnaki appeared as the Atlanteans. So Atlantis was ran by the Anunnaki. And they called the capital there Tula. And that's why the Germans and the Nazis focused on that name and the connections to the Vril Dom, and it all goes back to Atlantis. But at this temple, I could see through the human body because I was genetically altered with the original codes of the Anunnaki, where I can, my third eye was open. I can see through the body. I can see where these chakras are misaligned. I can see how the masculine obliterated the balance of the duality of the female body. And it was my job, my passion to realign those woman by woman, child by child, piece by piece, every single time because of what they destroyed. And we've never came back. It's always the masculine, the patriarchy, and like we have to go back where we have the duality again, where it's even, where the king isn't over the queen, because in some planetary systems, the queen is higher than the king because the woman is the portal. She brings life. The man doesn't really do much in contrast to that. So like we worship our women. So we have to come back to that. We have to
that's the way it's supposed to
take down these secret societies, these think tanks that are all male driven. We have to get rid of them somehow. And if we don't, the Anunnaki will still run these planets. The Draconians will still run these planets, because unless we have rogues, people like me, people like Arkheim, people like the assets listening to this transmission right now, we will die for this 1,000 times more. And we will do this because it's the right thing to do. We are here to uncover these truths, and until mainstream disclosure ufology accepts that, it's extremely dark, and you're putting the most powerful people off in the audience and behind the stages instead of putting them on the stage, you're the freaking problem. And I'll call you out 1,000 more times. I'll say it to your face. You are the problem, because you will not put real people on that stage, real people that are true SSP, people that have files, people that every time a remote viewer seems to remote view that person, it seems like they're SSP and they're not making it up. So how can all this all be made up? How can it be fake? Does that make sense? So until we bring these truths into reality and force it to people, we lost.
Going back to James,
America's the last stronghold. America's the last stronghold for planet Earth. If America falls, the entire planet falls. The entire planet is looking at us right now. This is the most important time in history for America. If we let them win, we lose, man. Period. Forever. We do not get it back.
We're not going to let them win. The Epstein files is too big of a thing. They can't get rid of it. They can try as hard as they want. This whole idea that it's like against Trump and it's some operation against Trump. Look, he's not the only person implicated. There are many left-winging, like Noam Chomsky's in there, and Bill Clinton, and like I could go on. There's plenty of left-wing blue people in there as well as right-wing people. So that's what's really sketchy about it. That's what should have people concerned, and that should be the linchpin that finally breaks our mind control of this red, blue, left, right stuff, where you realize, wait a minute, if they're all pedophiles that are like being run by Mossad, basically, like maybe that none of them give a fuck about us, maybe, huh? Maybe.
Someone said that to me when I was young. They're like, you don't have anything in common with a politician, but you have something in common with the guy who runs the corner store up the street, or your neighbor,
exactly
or like, I mean, like, but like politicians, they don't give two fucks about us. You know what I mean?
No, they don't. It's just who's going to give them the biggest donation. That's all they care about. And then even the ones that go into it with good intention, I feel like they probably get blackmailed, right?
Yeah.
If you got
that's what Epstein was doing, right? That's what Epstein was doing.
Yep. You got to realize, if you're famous, you don't really have to worry about Mossad as much as you got to worry about government oracles. Oracles are government assets, and their main job is remote viewing, looking on blackmail for certain people that's going to be famous in the future. So the whole pre-crime thing is a real thing. Like the movie Minority Report, I think they had the pre-crime Quechua people in the water. They were remote viewing the future, and they're prosecuting people for that. And that's what it was. All these prophets of the past, people like Edgar Cayce, he was a remote viewer. People that don't believe in remote viewing, do some research, man. But the thing that pisses me off the most is when people talk about the whole Project Montauk and the Stranger Things connection. You know what pisses us off more, being the actual original kids of that entire series, what it's based on? You know what pisses us off the most? They removed all the pedophilia. They removed Papa raping 11 every single day and raping all the children every single day. Papa is the name of the lead programmer. That was Dr. Joseph Mengele's name. Dr. Green. They called him Papa.
For the IBIS project, it was George Bush Sr. And the Queen of England, and the Queen of England
she
was
confirmed
mother.
that as well.
Yeah, the Queen of England was mother, and George Bush Sr. was Papa.
Yeah, and he basically ran the Fifth Reich, which is the Black Sun Swarzesana break away from the Fourth Reich of Germany. So the Fifth Reich is actually running stuff, most of the stuff that's happening.
Another thing on this George Bush Sr. thing, just this is kind of random, but I talked about this in my first interview with Penny Bradley and probably never since, so I just want to bring it up again. When I was a kid, I was really concerned about all the weird alien stuff that happened to me, and I was trying to figure it out. And my dad would always talk about it, and my dad was diagnosed schizophrenic. He is diagnosed schizophrenic. And I remember asking him one time, and I recorded it. The tape is probably somewhere in my basement somewhere, but like, I literally recorded it. And I was like asking him questions like an interview. And I was like, have we ever been on spaceships together? And he was like, oh, yeah. One time we woke up, our brains were being operated on, and George Bush was there. And I was just like, at the time, I was like, well, this is great, because no one wants to admit they're being abducted by aliens and that they're not in control of their life and stuff. So for me, this was like this exit. It was like, by the way, Matthew, I saw you comment. I sent you a message on your website. Check your
Hey,
emails.
Matthew.
I told you that I wanted to reconnect with you, but I'm not on Facebook, so I've just contacted you through your website. But anyway,
you want me to give Matthew your phone number, Ark?
Sure, you can do that. Yeah,
I'm in touch with him. Yeah,
word. But my dad told me how like George Bush Sr. was there and all this weird shit, and it kind of made me like not think it's real. But now we know with the George Bush being like a programmer, like that's really weird that he said that. And then what also is really weird is there's this woman named Dr. Dr. Turner, Carla Turner. Dr. Carla Turner.
She was murdered. She was an alien abduction researcher, but she was calling out my labs too. And this was in the 90s.
She is literally the first person, as far as I know. Everyone says it's Max Spears. No, it was her. Okay, it was Dr. Turner was the first person to ever talk about she was the first person to be like, hey, not only are aliens kidnapping me, so is the government. In that episode where like the government just was like aliens to kidnap people on the X-Files, that was based on her testimony when she was talking about. But she said, and this was literally around when it was happening to us, because when it happened to us, she was doing a presentation and she talked about different people were waking up on spaceships, and George Bush was there. Or some other famous celebrity like Johnny Depp or something like that. It wasn't always George Bush, but she literally said George Bush, and that freaked me the fuck out, dude, when she said that, because I remember telling my dad about how I asked him about it when I was a kid, and I thought he was crazy, and he's like, well, maybe I wasn't crazy, I guess. But it's so weird, and that part is probably really hard for the mainstream to understand, like George Bush, like assaulting us and us calling him Papa. But like, yeah, watch Stranger Things, and like Drago said, they just left like the worst parts out.
Yeah, they left the parts out where when they killed and they tortured the kids, and they did ceremonies and
they regenerated them
over and over and over. And then the ones that they that were disposables, they were grinded up and fed to the dogs, and they were fed to the kids. And the kids didn't know they were eating other kids. Like a lot of us, if you actually can see what the truth of what happened, we were kept in cages. stacked cages.
Mhm.
Cages where you can't stand up, you can't stretch out, you can't lay your
Dog
entire body
cages.
out.
And if you got to use the bathroom, guess what? The person
It
on the
goes
bottom,
straight down.
the
Yeah.
person underneath you just has to just deal with getting shit and pissed on. That's what we dealt with when we were kids.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
so it teaches
That
you
was
to always,
that was my childhood, you guys.
it teaches you to fight for top bunk, period. Because the bottom bunk, obviously, you know,
It's the worst.
but the bottom bunk's also the safest because you can actually see everything around you. So it's a weird kind of double-edged sword. But like, that's the truth, man. Like, just like Penny Bradley said earlier, there was minimum 300,000 kids that were killed at the Montauk Project.
And that's just the Montauk Project. There's another one that was going on here at Fort Worden.
Yeah, the Montauk Project was not just one military dump. It was more than a few. Even Jefferson Proving Grounds, it was part of the Montauk Project. Everybody only talks about Camp Hero. So imagine that this was way more widespread than you can imagine.
Al Bielek said that they had a presence in basically every major city in the United States.
Yeah,
And he said that like 20, 30 years ago. So
yeah, just like Arkheim came out with this information originally, and it blew my mind that all cities ending in the word TON, like Washington and Arlington and all this stuff, these are programming sites. And most of these cities, they have DUMBs directly under them because they're designed to handle the assets topside. So they're going to have a lot of asset handlers and regular jobs on topside above these DUMBs and these TON.
it's been a while since I heard somebody use that term, topside. Yeah. That's what we call it, guys.
Yeah, so topside has two different meanings. Topside, it was used on the series Orphan Black, which is about Julia Anchorhaven and I. And they would refer to the topside. Coincidentally, it was underground Toronto. It was all filmed around Toronto, and that's the dump me and Julia were in. And they call it topside. But topside also means outside the planet. So if you're serving topside, that's a code word people in the SSP say that no one knows what it really means.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah. Should we finish up here? I guess, guys. We've been going almost 2 hours. It's up to you guys.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I'm
you guys
good,
have yeah. Well, this was amazing. Do you guys want to tell people where they can find you and stuff? And whoever wants to go first. And this was an amazing show. This was really good. I think this was this was really good.
You could find me at fractaloflight.com, FRACTAL of light.com. Follow me on Facebook under Drago Reed. That's where all the community is. I know it sucks to take part in the whole Facebook thing, but like, honestly, man, that's where all the experiences are. That's where all the assets are. That's where all the real people are. And unfortunately, we are censored. We are attacked. But again, it's one of those double-edged swords. You're going to get cut even for having the count or not. But like, keep in touch, you know?
Yeah, I've got my YouTube, which I'm streaming on right now, disclosure now. And then I got a Patreon, patreon.com/Arkheim Ra. I also paypal.me/Arkheim Ra if people want to send me money, donations. And then I have a website for my music, bloth.bandcamp.com, and that's where I upload all of my music because I'm a musician. So you can buy my music to help me, subscribe to my Patreon. You can literally just send me money, whatever. All of us assets are targeted financially. We can't have normal jobs. So financial help is always good. But yeah, other than that, like, I'm pretty easy to find. Got my YouTube channel, and that's mostly where I interact with the world. And yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow my podcast on rumble.com called Portal to Another Dimension. And I'm about to relaunch it on YouTube for the first time because when they deplatformed me back in 2016, I never came back. So I have an account that's basically for viewing only so I can view videos, but I think it's about time to see if I can start transferring it from Rumble back onto YouTube and see if they hit me again and take me down. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of which, Drago, like I don't know what happened. I just got your message saying you couldn't post. Like I had nothing. I didn't want you to think I had anything to do with that. Like I don't know what the hell that was. Like
yeah, just out of nowhere, I was trying to answer people's questions and it just flagged it. It wouldn't let me post or nothing. So I was like, that was weird. It came out of nowhere.
I have no clue what the hell that was, man. That's weird. That's really weird because
No,
unless
it's
it was
not
a
weird.
Monday
It's
night,
targeting. It's all good. We're all used to it, dude. Something always happens during a live stream, specifically. Not the pre-records. They always do something during a live stream. So
yeah. Well, I want to let you guys know I love you guys. You guys are awesome, and thank you so much for coming on today. And thank you everybody. And that's it for me for tonight. And I'll be back tomorrow. Yeah. And have a good night, everyone.